experience in time-sensitive, mission-critical project working with domain-leading organizations such as NASA. Please give a big round of applause. It's not easy to work with NASA, you know. Must be strong enough, mental and physical, to work with NASA. Okay, I cannot, to be honest. Oh my God. Okay, passionate and engaging public speaker for youth and STEM engagement, addressing varied audiences such as K2 students and corporate and government bodies. Currently pursuing entrepreneurship initiative in scaling up and creating impact in clean water generation, medical and environment monitoring, energy storage, security and defense, as well as other application of current research work in order to drive sustainable radical innovation in Malaysia with a view towards global impact. Very fantastic. She's very young with a lot of achievement. Please give a big round of applause one more time. And she would be your idol. Please welcome Dr. Wan Wadatul Amani Wan Salim.
How is everybody? Is everybody doing great? So I can see the energy in this crowd. So we will keep the energy going, okay, throughout my talk. Okay. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Maliki and his team, okay, for Miss Nageswari, okay, Miss Sharifah, for inviting me here, okay, to give a talk to all of you. I don't necessarily like podiums because I'm someone that always runs everywhere. So as you can see, I wear a sneaker today, which is I hike a lot, I run a lot, and I move a lot. So this shoe works for me. Okay. So anyway, when you hear the points by Mr. Shamarki just now, it really relates to what Dr. Amani has been thinking throughout these years when I came back to Malaysia. Okay, so I'm going to talk about today about decent work and economic growth, and you can go to the next slide. Okay. So anyway, of course, this is you can read this. This is in the United Nations page, so I'm not going to bore you with this slide. But I'm going to talk about decent work and economic growth. And if you go to this website, okay, you can read about the facts and figures. Okay? So you can read it. I'm not going to bore you about this data because it's in the website. But one of the key things is that everywhere around the world, not just Malaysia, okay, people are talking about employment, unemployment. These things came up, okay, in the Edge. I know you don't read the Edge or something, but every paper that Dr. Amani opens talks about the employability of youth. They come out with this 4-year degree and they have nowhere to go. Okay? This is a time where when I grew up, okay, I saw my father was a lecturer at USM. Okay? That time, with a lecturer's salary, can buy a house on the ground. In Malaysia, talking about Malaysia. Now, lecturer's salary, Dr. Amani cannot build a house on the ground. What does that show you? It means that for the past 15, 20 years, right, the world has changed. My students now, in the classrooms, can't even pay attention more than 5 minutes. Yes. Okay? And then you come to classroom at the universities where a lecturer like Dr. Amani turn the PowerPoint one by one and read the slides. And then I'll be seeing faces like this just dozing off. This is your generation. the world has changed. Because the world has changed, does institutions change? Do they change? Does schools change? I went to the Sekolah Kebangsaan, the buildings of course stay the same. Right? You know those buildings at the Sekolah Kebangsaan stay the same. So, oh, never change. Sekolah Kebangsaan Sungai Glugo. Sekolah Melayu tertua, the oldest school in Malaysia where I come from. Sekolah Kebangsaan Sungai Glugo, Pulau Pinang. Right? Okay, when I went there, I was like, oh, okay. They destroyed all the buildings, they built a fancy building, but when I went inside, does the instructions change? Not much. Okay? So let's move on. I'm going to tell you a bit about my journey, so you can click until the end. Go ahead. I'm known as this NASA scientist. It's hype to all of you. Right? Okay? So this, people ask me, your generation always ask me, Dr. Amani, I receive emails, hundreds in my email. How can I be a NASA scientist? My reply back to them is, have you volunteered in a professor's lab? No, doctor. I want to be straight a NASA scientist. I want to go intern to NASA. I don't want to volunteer in a local professor's lab. And my reply to my students was that everything takes time. The question you ask, Mr. Shamarki, right now, can you prove that we will have zero poverty by the year 2030 will not happen if all of us in this room, inside, outside, or around, doesn't work towards it. Words are cheap, brothers and sisters. Words are cheap, but actions is what make things happen. Okay? So, I work in a NASA project. We launch a satellite to space on a SpaceX 3 rocket. April 18th, 2014, in a mission called SportSat. You know what is it about? It's basically to know how your cells respond to gravity. That's it. Okay? And because of such curiosity, you know curiosity? You want to know how the world works. Right? Therefore, new technologies are being developed. This is when I said to all of you, okay, when you want something to happen, it has to start from that curiosity in your heart that you want to make it happen. Okay? Things will not happen if there is no actions. Okay? So the next one is that I came back to UIA. Okay? I'm just going to show you that when I came back, do you think Malaysia gave Dr. Amani like a lab in NASA? Do you know that I never even have a lab when I came back to Malaysia? There's no empty space for you, Dr. Amani. Everything is occupied. Okay, NASA scientists came back. Lab is occupied. Oh, how do I invent, right? You have the same questions. I'm a youth. I don't have money. I don't have influence. How do I invent? In a position of constraints and scarcity, meaning that you don't have it. I don't have $1 million lab like in NASA. This is when this starts working. Your brain becomes more creative than when I was at NASA. How do I create impact with nothing given to me on a silver gold platter? What I did was, I said, give me a room where everybody dump their things. All the scrap yards and unwanted rooms. Give it to me. weekends, a group of young lecturers and our students clean the room every Saturday and Sunday until there was a functional lab, which stands at International Islamic University now. It might not be the best NASA level lab, but it creates innovations for the communities. Okay, you can move on to the next one. So, when I came back to Malaysia, brothers and sisters, it's easy to say in a position where all of you in this room, we are very privileged. How many of you, I want to ask, my adik-adik, my brothers and sisters, how many of you go to the ground and see our brothers and sisters in Kuala Krai, Kelantan classrooms? In Baling Kedah, some of the poverty-laden place where there's only one computer in the school. You go to IOI Mall, we go to the pavilion, we see people carrying Pradas. But when I go to these places, you know what Dr. Amani see? I saw talent. I saw Malaysia has a gift, an untouched gift that we rarely looked at. I went to Kuala Krai, Kelantan, adik-adik, to see a pakcik holding water bottles. He's going to drink it because it was disaster after a flood and the water is full of pathogens, bacteria. This is Malaysia 2014, adik-adik. All of you, we have a responsibility to our society and the world. We start first with our societies. If we are so blind that we just refuse to see this, let me tell you, a human being can't exist in silo. Society that is broken can affect the others and destroy the whole system. This is when a country fails. Because you ignore the people that is not in your radar because you are so privileged. I came to Kuala Krai, Kelantan with a group of IIUM academics. We went down and we went to see what the NGOs are doing work. And I developed technologies that has been done right now, which I showed to Dr. Maliki and Mr. Shamarki, the technology that evolved from what, adik-adik? From empathy. Here. Hati, empathy. A leader, the first quality they studied that is needed in a 21st century knowledge-based economy leadership, number one is empathy. No empathy, can't lead. You have no feelings of the people on the ground, isn't it? True, yes. Okay? If Dr. Amani at my stage doesn't have empathy for adik-adik, you can't even have jobs, you can't even own homes, then I am a failed leader. Okay? My actions now will affect your generations will affect the adik-adik generation. Okay? Next one, please. This is my group. Do you know that those chairs and so forth, Dr. Amani bought with my own lecturer's salary to build the room? How many of us use our own income instead of buying a Prada bag and to travel to France, but instead give to our next door neighbor? Why? Why did Dr. Amani do this? It's because this young generation I train to be the next scientist is basically one of my greatest investments. Why? In Malaysia, we like to ask people, how many children you have? 5. Right? But actually, of course lah, all of you, right? Okay? But for me is that all of you are anak-anak Malaysia. Okay? When people ask me how many children you have, Dr. Amani, oh, I have so many children. You know, my students, they still talk about me and help me, even though they go out and work. That is the impact of our work, brothers and sisters, okay? So let's move on. So, you want to say Dr. Amani come from privileged family? No. I grew up with a father who doesn't have a Dato or a Tan Sri title. I grew up in a regular Malaysian family. I was the 3rd child. My father was an ustaz. Okay? Dr. Maliki knows. Okay? What my father taught me is that love knowledge. Not money, not power, but knowledge. Because with knowledge, you can empower people everywhere. Okay? I was a debater. 1994, Johan Piala Perdana Menteri. We were the underdog, Sekolah Menengah Sains Pulau Pinang. Do you know who we beat? Sekolah Sri Putri. Okay, I won debate competition. Okay, that time. And who watched Star Wars here? Yes. Master Yoda. There's this famous movie, Baby Yoda, right? So cute, right? Yes. Master Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try. Right? Every time we said, okay, I look at a problem, wait a second lah. I'm going to see I have enough money in my pocket. I'm going to wait till I have a Datuk title before I do the job. By the time you get Datuk title and money in your pocket, you go to somewhere else. When there is enthusiasm and love, do it. How do you do it? I'm going to talk. Is that all of you have some common goals, isn't it? Remember, after this, you're going to be agents of change. It cannot end here. What you're going to do is you're going to form your youth unit that was said before. You cannot wait for Dr. Maliki to do it for you. He has 5 children, by the way. Right, so many responsibilities and so forth. But to ease his job and to go towards the goal is that you all yourself have to take the initiative and start your actions. The best inventions come from a group of friends. My invention to solve issue of the water in this country come from a group of young lecturers who we feel that we need not wait for government grants, but let's put our little money together and create a technology. It comes from that. And because people see there is impact, suddenly I share with United Nations folk and they said, wow, this relates to their work. Coming back to the question that was asked, how can we eliminate poverty, how can we achieve the 17 SDG goals is through that small little actions that come from the desire of your heart. Okay? Next slide. So I went to Minnesota, I went to Purdue, okay? Thanks to Yayasan Tenaga National, they gave me scholarship, okay? Remember, okay? There are roles of the private sectors, corporates, and government, okay? These are the functions of these people, to these entities, to actually empower in form of facilitation, scholarships, and so forth. Next slide. I lead this project called SportSat. Okay? Remember, this is a work that was done 5, 6, 7 years ago at NASA. Okay? So I was the principal investigator. This is my group. Okay? It's my group. And you can see that Malaysian lady with the hijab at the front. Okay? That is me when I was smaller, right? One size smaller, okay? But let me tell you about this amazing group. I got to lead this project because one director of NASA, okay, his name is Marshall Porterfield. He is a white male American. Meaning that in America, he's a privileged position. And he said, because I'm in a privileged position, I'm going to empower another person who's not in a privileged position. And I was the minority of the minority. I was not a minority American. I was a Malaysian. Worse, I'm a Muslim. Worse, I wear a hijab. It takes that leader. If you look at Hidden Figures, you watched that movie, right? Okay, the director at that time, it takes that person to see, look, if I don't do this, who will? Why I'm telling you all this is because a lot of you will be in a privileged position. Because you are chosen to come here. But guess what? A lot of your friends are not chosen. Are you just going to leave them behind? Post in Insta, I'm the youth leader. Post in Facebook, I have this and that. But then, if there are no actions on the ground, you don't bring people up, even beyond your level, what is the worth? Okay? That's what he did to me. Until now, he said, I am always 120% behind you, Amani. This is my mentor. You see, so be that person. When you become a leader, this is the person that you want to inspire to be. Because 21st century leadership is having that quality of empathy. Okay? Knowing others' struggles, empowering others. What you started. Anyone can get married, but not everybody can launch a NASA satellite, he said. We come this generation, adik-adik, brothers and sisters, where we have to empower each other. The brothers have to empower the sisters empower the brothers. We empower people who are underprivileged in our communities. This is our duty. Okay, next slide. So you can read this, I can give you, you can go to sportsat.org, it is a can, you launch it on a rocket, it goes in orbit, in the LEO Earth, the lower Earth orbit, and measures what comes out from a cell to know how does a cell sense gravity. Fundamental question, but because of that, Dr. Amani learns new technologies such as how do you create awesome water sensor that can detect pathogens. Space research can be translated to the ground. Okay? Because astronauts in space, they have to recycle water. Therefore, you have the best water filtration system on the ground. This is how space technologies are translated to the ground. Okay, next one. Anyway, you can go next one. Okay, I just want to tell you about this. It is important for this generation to innovate. It is important for this part of the world to be the one who invent, instead of being a user only of such technologies. It's important that people in the poor and developing countries starts to own IPs and develop their own technologies for the benefit of their country and mankind. And how does it start, adik-adik? It doesn't start from just looking at YouTube and Instagram and posting on Facebook and becoming a Facebook warrior, whatever, social media, writing. No, it starts from a bunch of serious people, say 5 of you, come together and said, you know what, let's be serious, let's build this together. And it doesn't work right away. You can see the sensors I developed for space takes how many years of work. See, you want to build an Apple technology? It's not about just building an Apple. It's about putting the right mindset, the right values together and creating a product that changes the lifestyle and everything that we ever do before. Okay, next slide. This is me. Okay, so this is the 0G plane. Okay, so basically, this is a NASA C9. I got into 2 parabolic flights. Okay, so basically this is when before NASA went into the 0G, the private side of things. Which shows that, adik-adik, everything you like it or not, government can't be the only entity that do things. It's the people who has to do things. You cannot just wait for government, we have this new thing, everybody let's follow. It's you who know better what's on the ground. Therefore, you have to give your thoughts to them. Not just one side, but they need to listen from all of you, isn't it? So the next question to ask is, how do you make your voice to be heard? Is by engaging actively in the communities, engaging actively, knowing what happens in government policies. It's not just for people with gray hair to understand these policies and so forth. The youth must know the policies because the policy will affect you and your future. Okay, next slide. This is me. You know that flight suit? They don't have my size. We have to go to a special store and find the extra small. If you look here, I'm just going to tell you something about this story here. Those in the blue are all NASA folks. Okay? Those big boys back there, you see, they're all taller, Dr. Amani, right? Those from Cornell, top schools. We're the underdogs. We're Purdue University, where Neil Armstrong's graduated from, right? So basically, those people, they're trying to hold things down because in microgravity, you start floating. And suddenly, when the flight goes up, you start falling down because the gravity levels doubled. So you have to keep balancing your body. But those big boys were trying to hold the experiments down. But why is Dr. Amani just jumping around and having fun, do you think? Do you see that little computer over there? That's our group's invention. We do a plug and play device, like a PlayStation. We plug it, we turn it on, the sensors do the recording. It was automated, even during that time, which is before even the satellite project, which shows, adik-adik, brothers and sisters, is that innovation is something very, very important in this case. Because of such innovation is why I get to lead. Become the principal investigator to a NASA project. And if you hear Dr. Amani's story, before I get into NASA, my first job was cleaning glass slides for a scientist in a lab. My first job was cleaning like a janitor. My first job was waiting 2 a.m. in the morning for people to check in the residence hall. I was doing the hard jobs. I was doing the jobs that's not, there's nothing, special about it in the context of when people say, oh, they're just cleaning. But guess what? Because I do those jobs is when I learn to appreciate people who clean the rooms for us, who clean the communities for us, who clean the universities for us, where every time you see them, you know what? Before I was cleaning. So you have what? Empathy. And because I was cleaning glass slides, is when I developed dexterity, high dexterity, and managed to do sensors technology for NASA. Never underestimate the jobs that were given to you, even though it is not glamorous. Everybody wants to be an Insta famous because it's something people can see every day. But how many of us are unsung heroes that nobody knows what they do, but they do it quietly and patiently, but make an impact to the world? You chose what type of people you want to be. So anyway, just to show you, I met astronauts. This is David Wolf. He's a Purdue grad. Boilermakers, right? Purdue grad, so that's a student working with me. So I want to tell you a little bit about David Wolf. When he was doing the astronaut training, in the deep pool, NASA has this 40-meter deep pool where you do the training, okay? Is that this hard metal smashed his teeth, so he lost all of his teeth at the front. Okay? When he was telling this story, he was laughing and smiling, which shows his love, enthusiasm for the job and for science and for America, for his country is just too huge that smashing and losing your front teeth doesn't matter. Construct your teeth again. It means that, you know what, these people, I want to ask you, adik-adik, is that passion that you have for doing the work, whatever people give to you matters. Because of your passion and because of your love of the work and for your people and your communities is what drives you. If money and so forth drives you, it won't last long. Money is just zeros in your bank account. People can even add the zeros in your bank account. You ask a finance person. That is done every day. But values to the community, you can't create it overnight. But the everlasting impact of good work to communities will actually change the whole humankind. Okay? I'm going to leave it there because I think that's it, right? But I want to show you a video. Can you play that video? So this is just a sports set, just to show you the picture. You can keep going on, just to show a picture. Okay, wait, go back. Another one. This is where the rocket is launched. So Dr. Amani is so Top Gun during this time. No, you want to be cool, right? NASA project. So next one. You go next one. Okay, this is Purdue, NASA. Okay, go next one. So I want to say this word. The opposite of war isn't peace. It's creation. You know why? When people destroy things, when things get destroyed, all of us, we build, we create. And there's a saying my father always said to me, it is a privilege to be in the position of a creator. You create something, and the feeling you have creating something, you get closer to the creator. Okay? We are all just users in the Muslim world, especially. We rarely invent. We don't create. We need to be in the position to create things, isn't it? Right? Doesn't matter lah, Muslim or non-Muslim. I know, Malaysian. Okay? Next slide. Okay? This is, I went back to UIA just to show you, who drew this? My student. We're writing a book together. She's an engineering student and she's an artist. Okay? Next one. This is my group. Okay? Another one. This is the lab I was telling you about. When I first started, she drew that because she wants to tell my lab. And then you can see now, you can change. Okay, the next slide. Right. And then this is when you create. You create. Okay, next one. Okay, this is the KUALA Cry. You can go next one. Just to show you some pictures when we do work at the KUALA Cry. You can move on to the next slide. Yeah, this is the disaster. After the flood, we went there, and I saw destruction that I cannot believe my eyes that it is in Malaysia. And you can see the graves go out from the ground, Everything from the grave went out. And there's a lot of plastic waste. It was dirty. And there are people who just lose homes, right, in these places. So you go to the next one. So this is Project Malaysian Relief Agency. So they build a water filtration on the site, okay? So this is where I come up with my idea to develop the sensor to see whether water has pathogens or not, okay? Have bacteria or not. Next slide. And then we come back to the labs. This is my lab. We start thinking. My young scientists, young padawans, I call it. Okay, we're working together. Next one. Okay, so we start brainstorming in the laboratories. Okay, next one. And then this is Farah went. She's a Malaysian Relief Agency, an NGO volunteer. So we went to the place and do volunteerism work. These people are not getting paid. I only pay for their travel and food, but they volunteer their time. Why? Because they care. Now everybody wants to do work. Give me $1 million before I do work. How? Right? So we all have to be in this together. Next slide. Okay, so we go to the masjid place and so forth. That's Hafiz, okay, my student. Next one. Hafiz works in a company. He volunteered for me. Okay, you imagine, students love the teacher so much. They come back and volunteer. You go to the next slide. So this is, okay. And then I develop more sophisticated technology. From that technology, you go to 2 sciencey. Next one, Okay, this is other technologies for wound healings. Diabetics patient, especially poor people, at the end of the day, you just cut their feet, isn't it? Because why? They're poor. Why? The wound cannot be monitored. The state of the health of the wound cannot be monitored. Hospitals are underfunded, right? Scientists like me has to come up with a solution that fits in the local context. Meaning that 1/8 of the cost, low-cost technologies, but create bigger impact than what the big farmers provided. Isn't that great, brothers and sisters? You can do it too. Next slide. Okay, so this is another one. We're trying to get investors for this one. Diabetic patient prick their fingers 8 to 12 times a day. Instead, we can use your saliva. You ask any diabetic patients, they would want this, isn't it? Next slide. So this is all showing you. So we need a Malaysian moonshot. And the Malaysian moonshot Dr. Amani envision is, next slide, because inspired by the mission to the moon. Hafiz here, we will see his panel session. He's so into space, angkasa and so forth, right? Astronomy, okay? He will talk more about that, but what did he say? We chose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. If we want to do things senang saja, simple, easy, for me, I won't even waste my time. Okay, next slide. Huge problem, tackle it. Okay, next one. Create a technology, like what Dr. Amani is doing, and a radical solution. Okay, next slide, just move on. This is what we call a moonshot. Okay, next slide. So this is just to show I'm creating this organization called Skunkworks for Malaysia. You know what Skunkworks is? If you read, a lot of successful companies come out from this thinking of Skunkworks, which is a concept coined by Lockheed Martin, which is, of course, a military company in US. But what it is that, I'm not going to do military, but what I'm going to do is that the concept is putting young minds together under one roof. Give them a big problem and said, look, you solve issue of poverty in 10 years. Youth Council, the United Nations are doing small little skunk works. Because it cannot be in a large organizations. Large organizations are too bureaucratic. And innovation has to happen organically. Therefore, it cannot be in such stiff and rigid environment. Next slide. Okay, now you can look. Okay, next slide. Okay, you can read. Because of skunk works, all these are born. These technologies. Okay, next slide. I call mine the nano skunk works. Based on nanotech. You know why? Malaysia has a generational chance. We have a small window. We don't grab this window. I think Hafiz will talk about that. There's another window also. We don't grab it, you lose again. You wait another 20 years lah. We need to grab this window. Okay, next slide. Okay, it's okay, just keep going on. This is what we put, okay? All under one roof, okay? And our targets is this. This is I create my own, not government. From this skunk works, I envision, number one Nobel Prize winners. I tell government leaders and leaders of the world, follow this model, you create one Nobel Prize from Malaysia. Second, unicorns companies. Really, I believe this so much because Dr. Amani can invent a first world technology from UIA lab without NASA $1 million facility. You know that? Can happen. Next slide, the next one. And this is, of course, the focus areas. You can see it. Okay? I put it, of course, for Dr. Maliki and Mr. Amarki to take pictures and share with their people about this vision. Okay? Next slide. Okay? One, adik-adik, brothers and sisters yang disayangi, that I love dearly, is that it's not about the amount of money you have. I tell you, my budget when I work at United States is how many times higher than in Malaysia. But my best invention in this tanah air, in this country. You know why? You know why? Because I see all of your eyes looking at me that I must show this change in Malaysia so my adik-adik can follow and aspire to be even 100 times better than Dr. Amani. You don't need to be like Dr. Amani. You be the best version of yourself. Whatever you want to be, an artist, you want to own that best hot dog stand, you want to own the next best, factory that produces the next best, drinks or food to the Malaysian, go ahead. No one stops you, right? Next slide. And this is my last Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amani. Okay, I'm holding the same microphone because I want to get the aura from Dr. Amani. You know what? I feel so nervous to sit beside you. So much nervous, but I'm very blessed. Thank you, IYC, Dr. Maliki, Nagaswari, and juga Miss Ifa for inviting me. Thank you, KBS, because if not because of you, I cannot sit beside you and also Mr. Shawaki just now. I'm so blessed, I'm so happy. And I cannot wait to go back and share with my friend and also my student after this. So how inspired I am after this. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter you are rich or poor, pretty or ugly, but empathy and patience is very important. It does matter to all of us. Yeah? So, without further ado, is there any question to ask? Please grab this opportunity and 2 questions from you guys. Okay, yes.
Hi, my name is Ines. Ines, I-N-A-S, Ines. I would like to ask you, living in a place, living at NASA, in a place where there's like minority of people in hijab, what was your drive to keep going on? That is all. Thank you.
Okay, before Dr. Amani answer that question, and what is the next question, the last question, I guess? Yes, at the back there.
Okay, my name is Mohamed Maliki. I want to ask you, in this long journey, I know you have failed once or twice or many times, but how you get up and you fight for it?
It's a very good question. Okay, Dr. Amani, I pass the mic to you.
So those are relevant questions that every time I give a talk to a youth, they will ask this question. So I think is basically something that they think of a lot when they see someone like me, right? So I answer the first question about the hijab and working at the place being a minority. I tell you this thing which from my personal observation, is that when you are a minority at a place, you tend to be way better. I tell you why. Because you don't get things easily. You don't take things for granted. Everything you struggle. And because of that, you really rely on doing the best work you can 10 times better than other people. And because of the work speaks for you, not the hijab on your head, not the color of your skin, not your race, not your religion, not who you are that you can't change, but actually your work is what makes I got to be a principal investigator to NASA. The second question about faith, is it? Yeah. So, is it fear? Fail. Okay, fail. So, let me tell you, I fail more than I succeed. The reason is that I didn't show one slide because a lot of people in my position, okay, even the speakers today, so we rarely talk about the failures, you know. People only see that, oh, they get to point B, but they don't see the messy middle path. Let me tell you, Dr. Amani fails more than succeed. When I was in the US, my first PhD exam was very hard. I was the bottom half. I basically failed the exam. But because of that failure, in my mind was that I can't fail. Failure is not an option. It's a NASA motto, by the way. That I have to wake up and be the best, and there's no option for me to fail, because no one will give me anything for free in this country when I was in the US. Because of that, I try again, and I got my PhD. Just to tell you another story, in 2005, when I was failing my qualifying exam, PhD, my grandparents also died. I can't go back to Malaysia because I was under racial profiling. My visa will be stopped. I have not seen my parents for 5 years. That time, there's no technology where people go online and can see people's face. But because I have parents, my mother and my grandfather, who I did not see when he passed away, said to me, you know what my grandfather said? He is basically a minority himself because he's Chinese, Malaysian, right? He said to me that, I told you to go there to finish what you started. Don't come back, we'll see each other in Jannah. And because of this set of you call failures, which I don't call it as failures, I call it as those important moments in your life that push you to be the person you are today. We have to teach the youth, all of you, to learn how to fail. And to get out from failures, because that is the best thing you can do to yourself. Okay? So I hope I answered this question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amani, and it's very insightful and it's touched my heart as well. So ladies and gentlemen, the things that we learned today is two things that I get from Dr. Amani first. I'm speechless to say. First is, yes, ladies and gentlemen, when we are failed, doesn't mean that we are stupid, but we are given a second chance to do better. Yeah? And then the second thing is, you must have faith and believe in God. Yeah? In whatever you are doing, stay humble. Thank you so much, Dr. Amani, and I pass back to the Miss of Ceremony. Thank you.